What's up, Coach? How you doing?
You're too nice, Jake. What am I doing? I'm sitting in a hotel room waiting to go to work with the at the NHL network this afternoon. So my time is at 4 o'clock. So after this call, I'll be getting ready to go.
That's awesome. I'm really excited to have this opportunity to get to talk some hockey with such a legend like you. You know, it's super special that you gave me this honor. So thank you so much.
No problem. Where are you calling from? Are you from
Um,
Toronto?
yeah, I'm in Toronto currently.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's pretty good. I also wanted to give a huge shout out though to my guy Nick Kiprios for setting this up. I just love him. You close with Kipper?
Yeah. I wouldn't say close, but I mean, um, I know him pretty well. I mean, he was a tough dude. I don't know. I know you know these facts. He was a big scorer in junior, and went on to have a really good career. And he's making a better career out of it when he's done doing what you're doing.
Oh yeah. He's just an amazing guy, genuine. Not a lot of people out there like him. Anyway, so coach, I gotta ask you, what do you prefer I call you? Coach or your famous nickname, Gabby?
Either one is fine by me.
Okay, perfect. And by the way, when I was speaking to Kipper, I was asking him, and he told me he doesn't know like how you got that nickname and why it came around. Is there like a story behind it?
Well, you know what? It's a little bit of a long story, but when I was playing minor hockey in Toronto, back long before your time, there was no cell phones or anything else. So Toronto being the big city it is, and the team that I played for that was the Toronto Marlies midgets. We had once you leave the team, you probably don't see your players for the rest of the summer because you go back to your neighborhood, they go back to their neighborhood, and since there was no cell phones and we didn't drive, it was hard to see them. So when we came back to junior B training camp, I kept interrupting the coach when he was trying to talk because I hadn't seen these guys all summer, and one of our trainers called me a real Gabby so and so, and it just stuck. And he became the trainer in Junior A, and all the players from the Junior B team called me that. So the Junior A players called me that, and it just kept growing and growing. So when you think about it, I've had that nickname for 50 some years. So it's stayed with me for a long time.
Wow, you just stuck like that. Wow, that's awesome. Okay, so you have an amazing personality and you're never shy to speak your mind, which by the way, I love that. And you immediately saw amazing success behind the bench. Your first year in Washington, you took over the Capitals and they were struggling. They had a record of 6-14-1. But when you took over, you guys went on a huge 37-17 run. Led the Capitals to a divisional title. This continued with many other teams you coached. So why are your teams so successful?
I don't know. I mean, the Washington team was pretty special because I had coached a lot of their guys when I took over in Hershey, and we had won a Calder Cup with them. So I think they were just pretty happy to see me there uh, at uh, at first. But I mean, the I mean, I think the reason that success followed me early was that I'm a pretty positive guy, and I look for the positives and I never give up hope. I mean, here I was 53 years old and been in the minors most of my life, and I was coaching in the NHL. So if you don't believe that it's going to happen, then it usually doesn't happen. So I think if I do anything, it's I give that hope to an awful lot of players, and they've reacted well to it in the past, and we've had the success pretty well everywhere I've gone with that approach.
So that's the secret. Okay. Okay. Interesting to know. Anyway, I wanted to ask you, I know this might be like a tough question, but who do you think currently is the best coach in the NHL?
Well, that is a tough question because there's a lot of good coaches. Um, you know what? I just look at his. success over 12 years. I think he's been in Tampa right now, and it's just continued. I mean, he's had great teams, so sometimes you can argue about that, but I mean, I think John Cooper finds the best way to get the most out of his players, and so I mean, I would have to put him at the top of the list here right now. But I mean, you can go down the list of all these really good coaches. I mean, I really like, and I don't know him very well, but what Chris Knobloch has done in Edmonton this year has been really special, I think. Rod Brindamore gets a lot of kudos for what he's done. What I'd like to see, though, is all of these coaches, that are great coaches. I'd like to see them take over last place clubs. It seems like I talk about all these good coaches now, and they've all got really good teams. But they've always taken over really good teams. So I mean, I'd like to see these guys take over last place clubs, and let's see them make them into first place teams. That again would prove to me how good a job you're actually doing.
There is actually one coach who's like really under the radar right now, who has exactly what you just said. He took over a club that isn't as skilled as others, but Andrew Brunette in Nashville, he's definitely up there in my opinion, no?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Andrew was an assistant GM for me when I was in Minnesota, and you know what? He did a great job. He took over for Joel Quenneville in Florida, led them to the President's Trophy, and then when he went to, let's not forget, when he went to New Jersey as an associate coach, he he again led that team to 50 plus wins, or didn't, I wouldn't say led, but was part of that. And then when he went to Nashville, nobody had really thought that Nashville was going to be a playoff team this year, or didn't think they'd be capable of doing that. And he has done it too. And one of the great things about him is he's, again, a very positive guy, got a great personality where the players can identify with him. He sits and talks with them. He's just an overall good coach. I mean, I remember I asked him when I was in Vancouver when he lost his job in Florida. I phoned him that day and asked him if he wanted to be my associate head coach, but I think he had bigger plans. So he declined the offer, but it was he's a really good coach, and I think you're right on when you talk about a guy like him.
100%. He is an amazing coach. He's something special. Anyway, so in addition to your amazing coaching, you're also a great actor. I saw that video. It's hilarious about the TSN video about the trade deadline. But I actually want to ask you about trades for a second. When you were coaching, how often does like the GM come over to you and ask you about a specific player, or do you go over to the GM at all saying like, I wanted this specific type of player?
I wouldn't say that that's what I did, but I often, I mean, mostly with Chuck Fletcher and George McPhee, for the most part, I'd sit down and I'd say, "Do you want to talk about hockey? Can we talk hockey right now?" Like, I mean, and they'd come in and I'd say, "I got an idea," and I'd give them that idea, and they'd either put it in the back of their mind or they'd run with it. They were both very guys that listen to you, and that I thought was really important. Some guys, they don't pay any, they think they're the ones that are making the decisions, and they're not listening to you as much as you'd like them to. But I think it's important for a coach and general manager to be in complete sync together. And I mean, they both want the same thing. Like, I mean, one is the ultimate boss, and you can give him your ideas, and if he doesn't like them, don't take them. But I think it's important that he listens to them at all times.
Right. Okay. If the playoffs started today, the Leafs will be on the road in Boston. And I know the Bruins aren't having the same crazy, crazy year as last year, but hey, they're still Boston. They're super dangerous. Like in years past, obviously, the Bruins have caused a lot of drama for Leafs fans. And this year, they won all 4 games against the Leafs. So, Coach, what can you tell Leafs fans to make them a little bit less scared of Boston?
Well, you know what? Boston's got to lose sometime against the Leafs, right? And I would think, and I've seen it happen many times, where a team dominates another team in the regular season, but once the playoffs come, it becomes a different situation. And so I mean, the year we lost to Montreal, we beat them all three times during the regular season, and we beat them easily. And then we lost to them in 7 games in the playoffs. So I mean, it's I think it's, if I'm the Leafs, I'm still confident that I'm a better team than Boston. I think Boston has played, as against the Leafs especially, as good as it can possibly do or play. And I think the Leafs haven't played anywhere near as good as they're capable of when they played against Boston. But come playoffs, it's a different story. A lot depends on goaltending and defense. I think the Leafs can be good, really good at both, and I think they've got more offensive talent than Boston does, especially this year with Krejci and Bergeron being retired. I think if they can shut down Pasternak, that they're gonna be they'll win that round going away. I'm not afraid of Boston. Haven't been afraid of Boston all year. I think they play great. They got a great system, but I just don't think when it comes push to shove at the end of the year that they can up their game 10 or 15%, which you have to do in the playoffs. And I know the Leafs can do that.
Wow. You just calmed down a lot of Leafs fans, trust me. So Washington, Anaheim, Minnesota, and Vancouver. These are 4 different teams that you coached, and I'm sure you loved all of them. And each one was probably different, but which team, in your opinion, was your favorite to coach?
Well, I think they were all a lot of fun. I mean, hockey players are great people, and if you're, I found a way to get along well with most of them. But I mean, my Washington team, um, I had coached, like I said, 7 of them, and we'd won the Calder Cup and went to the finals in the Calder Cup, and a lot of those guys still were on the team with me. And when I went to Washington, they were the same guys. They were young. They were full of energy. Like a devil may care kind of team. Ovechkin was 21. Nick Backstrom was 20. Mike Green was 22. Like, so there were a lot of young players there that just like to have a lot of fun. And we played with an awful lot of enthusiasm. And the regular season was extremely a lot of fun. And, every time we played Pittsburgh, those games were amazingly uh, intense. And uh, and I think the whole hockey world was watching all the time. And anytime you got Crosby versus Ovechkin, it was a real great game.
So speaking of Ovechkin, you had the privilege to coach him for many, many years. Can you tell me a great OV story that not everyone knows?
Well, you know what? Sometimes great athletes are just great athletes. And for example, the first time Alex Ovechkin ever golfed, he got a hole in one, and that doesn't that happens what few and far between. But uh, that's what great athletes do.
Are
If he
you
played
serious?
basketball, yeah, he played basketball. He was really good at that. If he wanted to play soccer, he grew up playing soccer. His dad was a soccer player. So, I mean, he's just an outstanding athlete in anything you want to do. The other thing with Alex that people sometimes don't know if they don't know him, because they always see him on the ice. Most of the time he's smiling and it looks like he's having a great fun. He's ultra competitive. If you wanted to play him in any game, you better be ready to play, because he's playing to win all the time.
That is wild. Hole in one in his first career. That's crazy. Anyway, so I had Kevin BX on my show, and I asked him the following
Okay.
question. Now, I want to hear your take too. If you were starting a franchise today, would you rather have Matthew and Brady Kachuk or Jack and Quinn Hughes?
Ooh, that's a really tough question. I mean, I'm betting you Kevin took the Kachucks because he likes the physical players. No, he
No,
took
he
the
took the
Hughes
Hughes.
boys. Yeah. I mean, well, I've coached Quinn, and I really like him a lot, and I think he's an outstanding player. Um, and I've coached. You know what? Something you didn't know. Um, Quinn and Jack's dad was my assistant coach in Manchester in the American League, and I watched those two kids grow up when they were 3 and 4 years old. So that was always interesting. But with me, I think I would go the other way. If I was starting a team, I would take the Kachuks because they don't put up with any crap. And I mean, they would take a team and they would make them play with a lot of heart. Not that the Hughes brothers don't do that, they do that extremely well. I just think, you're going to have, if it's an expansion team, you're going to have a lot of guys that are just borderline NHL players to start, and you need that true leadership. And I think the Kachuk boys would give them that a little bit more than the Hughes boys.
Okay, last question. So what Zach Hyman is doing in Edmonton is obviously ridiculous. You know, his 46 goals, he just busts his butt off every single shift. And he just tied Wayne Gretzky's record of 10 consecutive home games with a goal. Man, that's pretty good company. He's now played with Austin Matthews and now Connor McDavid. Is Zach Hyman the perfect first line winger?
I think he's exactly what you want. I mean, he's a guy that can score goals. He doesn't mind going to the front of the net, and he's been blessed with playing with two of the best centers in the game today. And you know what? He's very similar to a Matthew Tkachuk or a Brady Tkachuk in that he will go. He doesn't cause the kind of stuff that those two other guys do, but I mean, he goes to the dirty areas of the ice and he doesn't mind taking a shot to the head to score a goal. But I'm still upset that the Leafs let him go. I thought he was the perfect complement to that team at that time, and I think the Leafs would have been looking for a winger like him ever since they let him go. But he's the proud recipient of the Edmonton Oilers, and Connor McDavid loves him as a winger, and I think that they've got a mutual respect, and there's a reason he's going to score 50 plus goals this year.
I agree, and I'm so happy to see him doing well. Anyway, Coach, it was such an amazing honor to have you on my show. Did you enjoy your time?
I certainly did. You're a great young man, and you ask really good questions. And if you want to do this for a living, you're going to go far.
Thank you so much.